Barcelona are at the top of La Liga, and guess who put them at the top of La Liga? It's Sergio Ramos. Out of all the people, it is Sergio Ramos. If I was a Real Madrid fan, I'd be thinking, hey man, out of all the people, you're the guy who was supposed to stop Barcelona, and you ended up putting them on top of La Liga. In the next match we got against is the league leader, Girona, who was the league leader before Barcelona. And we don't know if we're going to win that match. And if I was a Real Madrid former teammate of Ramos, and I'm sitting and watching at home, I'd be thinking, hey man, what were you thinking, man? I mean, come on. So it's a big win for Barcelona. A big win indeed. You know, anything that takes you to the top of the league, that's always going to be a big win. But who are the two guys that actually put them at the top? It was these two Andalusians, Gavi and Fermín Lopez. They got the lungs. And once you know Raphinha got injured, very unfortunate. But Fermín Lopez came on, and that's when, you know, these two Andalusians, they became the drivers of that Barca ship. You know, they were just driving forward. That's how Barca's chances were coming, you know. Fermín Lopez getting inside the box. You know, he's that high midfielder who stays between the lines, stays between the defenders, gonna make that run. Very, very impactful. You know, we all heard that Xavi, he was looking for a midfielder. All these media outlets from Spain, they were reporting that, you know, Barcelona is still looking for a midfielder to sign in January. Lo Celso. First, it used to be Bernardo Silva for the longest time. And now, what's happened is that all these injuries have happened. If these injuries hadn't happened, you know, injuries are never good. The squad is falling apart. You can see that. But if these injuries hadn't happened, Xavi would not have played Fermín Lopez. Now, Fermín Lopez, he has been good since the preseason. He gave you that win against Real Madrid. He gave you that tie last game against Mallorca. And today, you know, Raphinha got injured and Xavi had to bring him on. Well, obviously Xavi was going to do rotations. He was going to bring Fermín on now. But this time, you know, he has to look at Fermín. And for the next game, we can see Fermín start. And so it's because of these injuries that Fermín Lopez will now get a starting role at Barcelona. And that's a good thing. So once again, Barcelona dominated the game, but this time the goals weren't coming. It's because, you know, Sevilla's defense was pretty well structured, even though they were playing a high line. But they had it in mind that, you know, as soon as Barca went over the top or started attacking, they immediately collapsed into their box. And they were very disciplined about it until that own goal, of course. And so Oriol Romeo was the one who was sacrificed this time because of rotations. But El Nesiri was missing. He was injured, and Xavi knew that. And that is why Xavi said, okay, let's go for an attacking lineup. We don't have that much of a threat coming from Sevilla because they aren't playing a traditional striker. And that is why Barca went pivotless. Okay, Gundogan was the pivot. Gavi was the interior number 8. And to start off, it was Raphinha who was the interior on the other side behind Lamine Yamal. But in reality, once the match started going, we saw that Raphinha was the free role number 10. And he was pretty good at it. You know, the way you see Griezmann, the way he's creating for Atletico Madrid, the Griezmann of now. Before that, he used to be a second striker. But now, he's the playmaker. And while Raphinha was on there, doing that playmaking stuff as a number 10, he was actually pretty good. He was also making the runs. But the gap between Barcelona's midfield and the Barcelona forwards was so big that you know, they couldn't make any third man runs. And that is why Barcelona, when they were playing those long diagonal ball to the wingers aren't speedy. So, you know, they weren't creating it much of a threat. So that is a tactical flaw Xavi has. He does not have the profile of players to play that sort of heavy metal football, where they're going direct. So what Xavi needs to do is he needs to structure his team, and to get that structure right during the build-up, you got to have at least 10 to 15 passes going on when you get that position you want to be in, when everybody's in the right place to attack, and then you launch the attack. So what Barcelona is doing is midfield and the forwards, the gap is so big, no third man runs. Well, when the third man runs comes, they're ineffective and they aren't in the right position. And so when they go long, it's just one guy running towards the goal. And that's why you saw Ramos intercepted that ball with his weak foot. It was a pretty good intercept.